globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding and making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv. The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.
A chemical spill contaminating the water supply in 9 West Virginia counties.
This year alone, over 300,000 people in West Virginia had their drinking water contaminated.
What are the health effects of having these drugs in our drinking water?
It's forced medical treatment without the consent of residents.
My friends, water filtration is one of the most basic actions you can take to protect you and your family from the harmful toxins and heavy metals in your tap water.
On average, the county says it sprays with the glyphosate at least once a week.
Few filters cut out the glyphosate that is found in water supplies worldwide. Remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, hydrofluorosilicic acid, sodium hexafluorosilicate.
Fluoride, it is in tea, it's in coffee, it's in water, it's in bread, it's in toothpaste.
It is our responsibility to protect our families. The establishment's not going to do it. It's time to take action. It's time to filter our water. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and use promo code WATER to get 10% off their entire family of incredible products. Or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You know, people can make fun of Dan Bidandi because he's just a real guy and has a heavy East Coast accent, but I really admire Dan Bidandi, our reporter on the East Coast, because he's the guy that went up during the Boston bombing that was a total drill on record with the older brother, Tamerlan, being a CIA asset on record. I mean, it was in major British and German news 2 years before. And then after the bombing, that the Russians had blown a bunch of spies' covers by going to the U.S. consulates and giving them a list of names, his name among them, saying, hey, this guy's allowed to fly with a fake name. He works for you, huh? They were sending him out of Georgetown through a Zbigniew Brzezinski group, CIA funded on record, over to Chechnya to literally work with the extremist groups. Now, does that mean he was infiltrating them to spy on al-Qaeda? Does that mean he was part of it? We don't know. The guy, did he get turned and then actually came back and did a real bombing? We don't know. The point is that that went on. That should be a big news issue. Now, you see the drill, you see the stand down, you see all the people on the ground, what looks like Kraft International, wearing Kraft hats. And then that all gets shut down, and the head of Kraft gets killed at a shooting range. Chris Kyle. I mean, by the way, a lot of our guests get killed over the years. Quite a few of them have died. D.C. Madam, the list goes pretty long. The deputy head of emergency management, Barry Jennings in New York, 2 weeks after he's on this show, dead. Probably a witness protection program. The neighbors said that all these trucks pulled up, the family moved out, he disappeared. Probably not dead. That should be investigated. We tried to talk to the family, they wouldn't talk to us. So what I'm getting at here with everybody is this is not a game, okay? We know they staged stuff. They've staged it before. And we know they were set and ready with that tragedy. And again, you look at the Aurora shooting, that was totally staged. I don't have an hour to go over the evidence. Most of you are aware of it all, but it was incredible how staged that was. He was just the drugged up patsy for whoever the real shooter was. I mean, folks, they could grab me, drug me up with amnesics, put me in a car, go in, shoot a movie theater, and have the cops find me in the car. I mean, it's really that easy, and they can do it to you. They can do it to anybody. But in his case, he was under the psychiatric care of a top Air Force psych warfare expert who formerly ran an entire base in San Antonio and who was sent to that university to work with the shooter there, whose dad was one of the top algorithm scientists in the country, and he was an algorithm scientist, the reported shooter, in a secret DARPA mind control program. That's mainstream news, of human-machine brain interface. And they get, and that was Theodore Kaczynski, LA Times. Alexander Cochran broke that, did the FOIA and got it. He was CIA. The Unabomber was CIA. James Holmes worked above CIA in a super black DARPA program. Super black. Everything was paid for. When they counted it all up, he was getting like 80 G's a year in government money we know of. 80 G's. And notice that the cops shut that thing down when not anybody in there claiming there were bombs in there. Bull. Theodore Kaczynski was in the MK Ultra mind control program. That's LA Times. That's admitted. Yeah, it sounds sensational. Reality is sensational. These are real mind control victims, but usually they just have a drugged up nut who takes the fall. They're not even the real shooter, like Sirhan Sirhan. The LAPD police report said none of his bullets hit RFK, and it was another caliber in the back. He starts getting ready to shoot. They pin his arm. Doesn't matter. People behind him, boom. And he'd been drugged with an amnesic, Sirhan Sirhan. And then there's famous photos in the ballroom before he gets killed of 3 famous CIA agents, one of them a section chief over Latin America, in the ballroom. They don't even hide this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Anderson Cooper, CIA, up there. Who cares if it's blue screen? Just like CNN, I'm going back to our guest, just like CNN back during the first Gulf War, was at the broadcast center in Atlanta on top of a roof with a blue screen behind them, saying they were in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, different days, being hit by nerve gas. And then they went on air for parts of it with the blue screen not even turned on, with blue behind them. And then there were live feeds back in that day. Remember the whole thing where David Letterman was getting mad that people could tape his show as it was being taped and sent over? Same thing with Jay Leno. Same thing was happening with Johnny Carson before he retired, because they would tape it during the day and then beam it back to New York to be edited. Well, it's the same deal. CNN was sending that raw feeds out all over the world, and people knew how to descramble them and get them. And it's on record that CNN did fake Scud missile attack videos. So they've done it over and over again. We've got Wolfgang here with us. Sir, I want to give you about 3 minutes to make any other points that you didn't make to the school board. Then we're going to play a special report that aired actually last Friday of you in there talking to him. I didn't know the video was actually out or had been on the Nightly News. I missed Friday's show. I usually watch it almost every night, but I missed that when I was with family. But look, let's say you got 3 minutes in a nutshell of what's going on here to the lay person out there as a school safety expert, renowned nationally. Mr. Halbig, of what really happened here, and what would you say to that school board?
Well, the first thing I got to say before I get into that is that thank God I've had 67 great years of great life. I got a beautiful family. You know, I mean, I'm getting threats all the time. I got some crazy people out there. You know, they're attacking my wife, they're attacking me, and everything else. But you know what? All they have to do is answer 16 simple questions. You and I wouldn't even be talking today. It's unheard of, okay? And I think the school board members and the superintendent, they have a responsibility of telling the truth. Alex, I cannot believe that a public school system, and you know, when you look at the school itself, when you look at Sandy Hook, it is a filthy school. That's what I wanted to talk to the board members about. It is a toxic waste dump. When you look at the data, and here's what they didn't realize, they put it in their own newspaper before they demolished it. Sandy Hook had the highest level of lead paint throughout the entire school. Sandy Hook had the highest level of asbestos in the ceiling tiles and ceiling floors. It had the highest level of PCP in the groundwater. It's contaminated. Now, here's the question. Connecticut law requires that every parent must be notified of those hazardous chemicals because they have serious health effects on children, which may not be seen until 5 years later. Now, why would any parent, why would those 18 of the 20 parents that moved into Newtown in 2009 enroll their child in a school with all those hazardous chemicals? Their parents just don't do that. They don't expose their little children to chemical hazards.
Well, let me just stop you. As an investigator, kind of like they got Al Capone for tax evasion, not for all the murders or money laundering, you're looking at how they don't do any of the standard stuff, the paperwork, the police reports, no helicopters sent, no rescue, kids going in circles, totally staged, men with guns in the woods getting grabbed, no names released. They deny it went on, later have to admit it went on, but say we're not answering questions. I mean, clearly it's a drill, just like the Boston bombing. I don't know exactly what's going on, but the official story isn't true. And again, I've read a lot of criminology. I'm not a cop, but I've studied a lot of it. And just from a lay media investigative journalist perspective, something is rotten here. And then you see it duplicated over and over again. What's your bottom line? What do you think really happened at Sandy Hook? People can see your 16 questions at sandyhookjustice.com. And we just salute your will to go up there and have 8 police cars block you at the United Way and have them shut you down at the school board, at the commission. But bottom line, what do you as a almost 40-year investigator, police officer, you name it, what do you think's happening here?
Well, until they answer those questions, I can tell you children did not die. Teachers did not die on December 14th, 2012. It just could not have happened. And it's in their words. It's not what Wolfgang thinks, or it's just my opinion. It's what they say. I mean, their own words actually show that it could not have happened. Who declares 27 people legally dead within 8 minutes? Nobody does that. Who has a 99.9% kill rate? Shooting children in a school within 8 minutes. There isn't an FBI agent. There isn't a Navy SEAL that's that good of a shot within 8 minutes and then kill himself. I mean, that's reasonable doubt. I mean, that in itself is reasonable doubt to show that Adam Lanza could not have done that. I mean, he's an autistic child. He's got Asperger's. Alex, nobody has a 99.9% kill rate, not even the New York Police Department.
But he's a perfect cutout. And for those that don't know, the reason that is, even if you're shooting people point blank in the head, the bullets change direction. They go different directions. And, I mean, a lot of times I've shot a wild hog, a deer, you name it, and the bullet deflects off. Even if you hit them broadside, sometimes it just deflects through. You don't get 99.99 kill rates. It's just incredibly hard to do.
It is. And, and the thing that people, they haven't had time to read that 7,000-page report that was put out by Stephen Sedensky, who's the state attorney in Danbury, Connecticut. Even the governor's own commission, Alex, the governor's own handpicked Sandy Hook